Welcome to your deep dive. We're going to be diving into these two YouTube podcast scripts that you shared with us.
Okay.
And they're both about DevOps careers. And they seem to be saying pretty similar things.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to see if we can extract some golden nuggets for you.
Right.
So is a DevOps career the right path for you?
Yeah.
Well, these scripts are pointing to some pretty impressive salaries and a huge demand for these engineers.
Right.
But it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
It looks like continuous learning is a must-see in this field.
Yeah, it's interesting how those sources really highlight that tension between, those lucrative salaries and the need to just constantly be upskilling.
Right?
So yeah, it definitely suggests that this kind of career is not for the faint of heart,
right?
But for those who just, thrive on challenge and continuous growth.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So before we get lost in dollar signs, let's kind of define what a DevOps engineer actually does. So both sources emphasize that it's about bridging the gap between software development and IT operations.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones making sure that code flows smoothly from development to testing to deployment.
Yeah, like they're the architects of a super efficient software factory.
Okay.
They don't just build the factory.
Right.
They design the assembly line, they optimize the workflow, and they make sure that everything runs smoothly from start to finish.
And while both scripts mention tools like Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform,
right,
they stress that it's not just about the tools. It's about a culture of collaboration and continuous improvement.
It is, yeah.
What do you think they mean by that?
I think it's about breaking down those traditional silos between developers and operations folks.
Right.
Instead of just, tossing code over the wall and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
DevOps encourages shared responsibility, open communication, and that constant drive to make things better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more about the mindset than it is about the tools.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
They also keep mentioning continuous integration and delivery, or CI/CD.
Right.
What's the deal with that?
Yeah.
Is it just another tech buzzword?
It's actually a core principle in DevOps.
Okay.
And it's definitely more than just a buzzword.
Okay.
You can think of it this way. CI is like having a system where every time a developer makes a code change,
okay,
it's automatically tested and integrated with the main code base.
Right.
That's the integration part.
Yeah.
This catches errors early on and prevents those massive integration headaches.
Oh, okay.
That can happen when teams work in isolation.
So it's like having a safety net that prevents things from breaking.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And then CD takes it a step further by automating the deployment process.
Okay.
So once that code has passed all the tests, it's automatically pushed out to a staging environment.
Wow.
Or even directly to production.
Which just happens automatically.
Yeah. This allows teams to release updates much faster and more frequently without the need for those big, nerve-wracking deployments.
Wow, that sounds incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
It's like having a software pipeline that's constantly flowing, delivering value to users without any interruption.
Right.
No wonder companies are clamoring for DevOps engineers.
Yeah. That brings us to that elephant in the room.
Uh-oh.
The salary.
Okay.
Both sources break down the earning potential by experience level.
Okay.
And it's pretty eye-catching.
Okay.
So they suggest that entry-level DevOps engineers can earn between $70,000 and $100,000 per year.
Wow.
And that's just the starting point.
That's more than many other entry-level tech roles.
Right.
Is this because the demand is so high?
Absolutely. LinkedIn consistently ranks DevOps as one of the most in-demand jobs.
Wow.
Companies across all industries are realizing that they need DevOps expertise to stay competitive in today's digital landscape.
So they both mention several factors driving this demand.
Yeah.
One is the rise of cloud computing and microservices.
Right.
What's the connection there?
So think of it like this. Traditional software was often built as one giant monolithic application.
Okay.
But with the cloud, companies can break their applications down into smaller independent services or microservices.
Okay.
These microservices can be developed, deployed, and scaled independently, which offers a lot of flexibility.
Right.
But managing this complex web of microservices requires a whole new set of skills and approaches.
Right.
And that's where DevOps comes in.
So it's like going from building a single giant house to constructing a whole city with interconnected buildings.
Exactly.
You need a different set of tools and expertise to manage that kind of complexity.
Right.
Okay.
And to make it even more challenging, companies are also under pressure to deliver software faster and more frequently.
Right.
They need to be able to respond to user feedback quickly and release new features and updates at a rapid pace.
Which is where those CI/CD pipelines we talked about earlier become essential?
Precisely.
Okay.
And then there's the issue of scalability. As companies grow, their IT infrastructure becomes more complex.
Right.
And they need skilled professionals who can automate processes,
right, yeah.
manage cloud resources efficiently,
right.
and ensure that systems can handle increased traffic and demand.
It's like having a traffic controller
yeah.
for the digital world.
That's a great analogy.
Making sure everything flows smoothly and nothing gets backed up.
Yeah, and it's not just tech companies that need these skills.
Right.
The sources mention finance, healthcare, retail.
Wow.
Basically, any industry that relies on software or digital services is looking for DevOps talent.
So it sounds like there's a sense of urgency in the job market.
Yeah.
Companies are scrambling to find people with these skills.
That's right.
Okay.
And that brings us to the question of career growth within DevOps.
Okay.
What kind of trajectory can you expect if you choose this path?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's dive into that.
Yeah.
After a quick break.
Yeah. Both sources lay out a typical DevOps career path, and it's pretty exciting.
Okay.
You might start as like a junior DevOps engineer focused on learning the ropes.
Yeah.
Things like setting up CI/CD pipelines, writing scripts to automate tasks.
Right.
And getting a handle on basic infrastructure management.
That makes sense. You got to learn to walk before you can run.
Exactly.
But where do you go from there?
So as you gain experience, you could move into a mid-level role.
Okay.
At this stage, you'd be taking on more responsibility.
Okay.
Like designing and implementing automation solutions.
Right.
Using tools like Kubernetes and Terraform.
Right.
You might also be managing cloud infrastructure or troubleshooting complex technical issues.
So you're not just following instructions anymore.
Right.
You're starting to design solutions and make decisions that impact the entire system.
Yeah. And eventually you could reach that coveted senior DevOps engineer level.
Okay.
Here you'd be leading projects, mentoring junior engineers, and making those big picture decisions about infrastructure and tooling that affect the entire organization. You might even be involved in shaping the overall DevOps strategy for the company.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of responsibility.
It is.
But also a lot of influence.
Yeah.
You're not just keeping the lights on.
Right.
You're helping to steer the ship.
Precisely. And the possibilities don't end there.
Really?
Both sources even mention moving into leadership roles.
Okay.
Like DevOps architect or manager, where you'd be overseeing entire DevOps practices.
Wow.
And making sure that they align with the company's goals, or you could specialize in a particular area like security or cloud architecture.
So you're saying that a DevOps career isn't just a ladder, it's more like a jungle gym.
Yeah.
With multiple paths and directions you can explore.
That's a great way to put it, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
You're not locked into a single trajectory.
Yeah.
You can evolve your role and your skill set as the field changes and as your interests develop.
All this talk about growth and leadership is great, but let's get real for a second.
Okay.
How secure is a job in DevOps, especially with all the craziness happening in the tech world right now?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But both sources paint a very optimistic picture.
Okay.
Suggesting that DevOps is one of the most secure career paths you could choose right now.
Wow.
And they have some pretty solid reasons for thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Like, what? Give me the good news.
Well, for one thing, the demand for DevOps engineers is through the roof.
Okay.
There's a huge shortage of skilled professionals.
Right.
So companies are practically begging for talent.
Wow.
And willing to pay top dollar to keep them on board.
So it's like a supply and demand situation?
Exactly.
Low supply, high demand equals job security and good salaries.
Exactly. And secondly, DevOps engineers play a critical role in ensuring business continuity.
Okay.
They're the ones who make sure that software is delivered efficiently.
Right.
And that operations can scale smoothly without them.
Sure.
Companies would struggle to keep pace in today's digital world.
So it's not just about building cool tech.
Right.
It's about keeping the entire business running smoothly.
That's right. And then there's that continuous learning aspect we discussed earlier.
Right.
The field is constantly evolving, so professionals who are adaptable and committed to expanding their skill set will always be in demand.
So it's not a career where you can just coast on what you learned in school.
No.
You got to be a lifelong learner.
Exactly. And both sources even go as far to say that DevOps roles tend to hold up well during economic downturns.
Wow, really?
Companies might cut back in other areas, but they're less likely to let go of those who keep their critical systems running smoothly and efficiently.
Okay, I'm starting to understand why DevOps is considered a secure career path.
Yeah.
It's essential to business. It requires constant adaptation,
Right.
And the demand far outweighs the supply.
It's a winning combination for job security.
So let's say someone listening to this is convinced they want to dive into DevOps.
Yeah.
What are those concrete steps they can take to get started?
Both sources offer some excellent guidance here.
Okay.
First, they recommend building a solid foundation in the basics. We're talking Linux scripting languages like Bash and Python and version control systems like Git.
These are like the building blocks of the DevOps world, right?
Exactly. You can't build a skyscraper without a strong foundation.
Right.
And you can't become a DevOps engineer without mastering these core skills.
Right.
Luckily, there are tons of online resources, courses, and tutorials available to help you get up to speed.
Okay, so once you've got the basics down, what's next?
Then it's time to dive into the world of DevOps tools.
Okay.
Both sources specifically mention mastering tools like Jenkins for automating builds and deployments, Docker for packaging and deploying applications,
right?
Kubernetes for orchestrating containers, Terraform for managing infrastructure as code, and Ansible for automating configuration management.
Wow, that's a lot of tools. It sounds overwhelming.
It can seem that way at first, but don't worry, each tool serves a specific purpose.
Okay.
And there are plenty of resources available to help you learn them one step at a time.
So where do you even begin?
The sources recommend starting with a simple project. Okay. Maybe try setting up a basic CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins.
Okay.
Or deploying a simple application to the cloud using Docker and Kubernetes.
Okay.
There are also lots of open source projects you can contribute to, which is a great way to gain real-world experience.
So it's about getting your hands dirty and actually building things, not just reading about them in a textbook.
Exactly. And as you gain experience, you can start exploring more advanced tools and techniques.
Right.
The key is to start small, focus on one thing at a time.
Okay.
And gradually expand your skill set.
They also mentions certifications as a way to boost your resume.
Yeah.
Are those really necessary?
Certifications can definitely give you an edge, especially when you're first starting out.
Okay.
They show potential employers that you've invested the time and effort to develop a specific skill set.
What kind of certifications are we talking about?
The sources mention the AWS Certified DevOps Engineer,
Okay.
Docker Certified Associate, and Kubernetes Administrator as potential options.
But they also stress that certifications are just one piece of the puzzle.
That's right.
Yeah.
Certifications are valuable, but they're not a substitute for real-world experience.
Right.
And a deep understanding of the concepts.
So it's not just about checking boxes.
Right.
It's about building a solid foundation of knowledge and skills.
Exactly. And don't forget, those all-important soft skills we talked about earlier.
Right.
Communication, collaboration, and problem solving.
Right.
These are just as crucial for success in DevOps as technical expertise.
Okay, so we've got the roadmap.
Yeah.
Master the basics, learn the tools, build projects, consider certifications.
Yeah.
And don't neglect those soft skills.
Correct.
It sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
How does DevOps fit into the larger picture of the tech world?
That's a great question. DevOps isn't happening in a vacuum.
Right.
It's part of a much bigger trend towards digital transformation and the rapid evolution of software development.
So we've established that DevOps is like a key player in this whole digital transformation thing.
Yeah.
What exactly does that look like?
Well, think of it this way. Almost every company these days relies on software in some way.
Right.
And they need to be able to develop and deliver that software quickly, efficiently, and reliably.
Okay.
That's where DevOps comes in.
Right.
It's like the grease that keeps the wheels of digital transformation spinning smoothly.
So it's not just about building cool tech.
Right.
It's about helping businesses adapt and thrive in a digital world.
Exactly. And the impact of DevOps is felt across all sorts of industries.
Okay.
For example, in finance, DevOps is helping banks to process transactions faster,
Okay.
detect fraud more effectively, and offer more personalized customer experiences.
And in healthcare, I imagine it's playing a role in things like telemedicine and electronic health records.
Absolutely.
Okay.
DevOps is helping healthcare providers to manage patient data more securely,
Right.
streamline appointment scheduling, and even analyze medical images using artificial intelligence.
It sounds like DevOps is touching every aspect of our lives,
It really is.
even if we don't realize it.
Yeah. And as more and more companies embrace digital transformation, the influence of DevOps will only continue to grow.
So it's not just a tech trend.
Right.
It's a fundamental shift in how businesses operate and how they deliver value to their customers.
Precisely. And that's why it's such an exciting field to be a part of.
Yeah.
You're not just writing code, you're helping to shape the future.
Speaking of shaping the future, both of these sources make a point of highlighting the human element of DevOps.
Yeah.
It's not just about tools and processes, it's about people.
That's a crucial point behind all the automation, the code, the infrastructure.
Right.
There are teams of people working together to solve problems and build amazing things.
Yeah.
And the success of any DevOps initiative depends on those people being able to communicate effectively.
Right.
Share knowledge openly and collaborate as a cohesive unit.
So what kind of person thrives in a DevOps environment?
Yeah.
What personality traits or soft skills are we talking about?
Well, as we've discussed, communication and collaboration are absolutely essential. DevOps engineers need to be able to articulate their ideas clearly, listen attentively to others, and work effectively in teams.
They also need to be comfortable with change, right?
Yeah.
Because the DevOps world is constantly evolving.
Absolutely.
With new technologies and best practices emerging all the time.
Adaptability and a willingness to learn are key.
Right.
DevOps professionals need to be curious, open-minded, and eager to expand their knowledge and skill set.
Okay.
They can't be afraid to experiment, try new things, and learn from their mistakes.
And problem-solving skills must be pretty high on the list too, right?
Definitely.
It seems like a field where you're constantly facing new challenges and figuring out how to make things work better.
You're right. DevOps engineers need to be able to think critically,
Okay.
analyze problems, and come up with creative solutions.
Right.
They need to be persistent, resourceful, and able to work independently as well as part of a team.
So it's a lot more than just technical skills.
Yeah.
It's about having that combination of technical expertise, a collaborative spirit, and a problem-solving mindset.
Exactly. And for the right person, a career in DevOps can be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
They're in high demand, they're well compensated, and they have the opportunity to work on challenging and innovative projects.
But I get the sense that it goes beyond just the salary and job security.
You're right. Many DevOps engineers find a deep sense of satisfaction in their work.
Yeah.
They're passionate about technology, they enjoy working with others, and they're driven to make things better.
It's like they're the architects of the digital world.
Yeah.
Constantly building, improving, and optimizing the systems that power our lives.
That's a great way to put it. And as the world becomes increasingly reliant on technology, the role of the DevOps engineer will only become more vital.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a sense of the possibilities that await in the world of DevOps. It's a field that's constantly evolving, full of challenges and opportunities.
Right.
And it's playing a key role in shaping the future.
Whether you're just starting your tech journey or looking for a change, DevOps offers a path that's both challenging and rewarding.
Right.
And if you're passionate about technology, thrives in collaborative environments, and are driven to make a positive impact, a career in DevOps might be the perfect fit.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Who knows? You might just find yourself building the future one line of code at a time,